Hello and welcome. This is the Good Game Podcast. I am your host, A1K, and we are back with another episode. It is August 7th, 2024, and this is episode number 5 of the Good Game Podcast. I'm so glad everyone could join me today for episode 5. We got a lot to get into this episode, but before I get started, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, follow us on our Spotify account. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this. Our first topic. So, I got a chance to watch the Terrance Crawford fight this weekend, and it was a good fight. I definitely enjoyed watching the fight. Terrance Crawford moved up in weight to capture a world title in a 4th division. The former undisputed junior welterweight and welterweight champion, who also held a lightweight world title, made his debut at Journal Middleweight on Saturday with a closely contested unanimous decision victory over Ismail Madrigal to win the WBA belt. And this was a good fight. Definitely glad I tuned in. I was able to catch majority of this one. And I think that both competitors put up a lot of effort into this fight, and it was something that obviously came down to a decision. But if you watch the fight, I think that there were some times where people felt like it really could have went either way. This was something that came down to maybe a round or two. I mean, just super close. Obviously, Terrance Crawford, one of the greatest boxers in our generation, if not all time. Highly considered ESPN's top pound-for-pound fighter until Alexander Usyk took his spot when he had an impressive victory over Tyson Fury last May. Crawford's performance against Madrigal wasn't as impressive as some would have probably hoped, but nonetheless, he was able to do what he had to do to get the victory. And, you know, there were some people who felt like maybe it could have went the other way. Maybe it could have been a draw. But honestly, when you're dealing with someone on Crawford's caliber, really, there's no way to beat these guys unless you knock them out. Like, there's not going to be a decision going your way because these guys are just too good. They're too technical fighters. They're too, there's just nothing you could do besides try to keep up with them. And until someone actually comes and just outboxes them and outright makes it an overwhelming victory, these guys aren't going to lose. So, and I consider Terrance Crawford to be in that category. Madrigal's promoter, Matchroom Boxing's Eddie Hearn, wasn't happy with the decision and thought his fighter deserved the nod after 12 hard-fought rounds. And I got to give him a lot of credit. I give Madrigal a lot of credit. This is somebody who, although he hasn't had a whole lot of professional fights, definitely has had a good number of amateur fights. But he was able to take Terrance 12 rounds, and that's something that not a lot of people can say they've done. So, I mean, there's no such thing as moral victories in sports, but this is definitely something that Madrigal can take and be proud that he at least hung in there to 12 rounds. And like I said before, a lot of people thought the fight could have went his way. So, you know, definitely a boxer to keep your eye on if you're into the sport. It was a very close main event, and I thought Madrigal did enough to edge it here tonight, Hearn said after the fight. There was always the argument of dethroning the champion, whether you think that's a thing or not, and I'm not sure if Crawford dethroned Madrigal tonight. And, you know, that's kind of one of those things that happens in boxing sometimes. You know, if it's not necessarily an overwhelming victory, people feel like it shouldn't be a victory at all, especially when it comes to these championship fights. People feel like there has to be more of a convincing win, and they want to see the person win in more of a convincing fashion in order to obtain these belts. But I mean, just from a boxing perspective and from a scorekeeping perspective, definitely I believe Terrance Crawford did enough to get this victory. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like probably the first 8 rounds, clearly you could see Crawford was the one dominating and having more control over the fight. So Crawford highlighted Madrimav's approach during the news conference after the fight, calling him a tough competitor. He goes on to say, he wasn't throwing wild shots like I was wanting him to. I figured it out from the get-go, but I was being patient. I didn't want to rush in with anything. That's how I got caught a couple of times trying to eat too soon. So yeah, that just goes to show you the mentality of Terrance Crawford was really to download as much information in those early rounds and see how Madrimov was going to try to come at him with certain attacks and just be patient with the fight. And although he was being patient, a lot of people really came to see, when people come to see fights, people always want to see knockouts. People want to see, photo finishes and those viral moments. But when you're dealing with these high class technical boxers, I mean, the fighting is so technical to where you're really just going to see a lot of misses and a lot of guys not hitting their target, getting out the way. I mean, Terrance Crawford is somebody who could fight walking backwards, going forwards. And Madrimov was doing a lot that Terrance Crawford may not be used to. He definitely is a unique fighter in his approach. He's somebody who he has good movement with his feet, also with his upper body. And, he definitely gives the opposition a lot to think about. But ultimately, Terrance Crawford was able to come out with the victory. It was a good fight. Definitely enjoy watching it, and we'll be looking forward to the next one. So, with that being said, let me ask a favor real quick. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Good Game Podcast. We're going to have episodes coming at you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And make sure you share the video with a friend. Also, if you're listening to us on Spotify, follow us on Spotify at The Good Game Podcast. A lot of good episodes coming to you guys. Yes, that's right. 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we drop a new episode. And you could be part of The Good Game Podcast. Don't miss any of this good game. It's a lot of good games we're going to be discussing. A lot of sports and entertainment related topics we're going to get into today. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. USA Men's Olympic Basketball News. So the 2024 Olympic basketball team is on a roll right now, guys. And if you haven't been watching the Olympics, it definitely has been very entertaining. I highly recommend you guys check it out. So far at the Paris Games, it's been somewhat scary for U.S. men's basketball team. On Tuesday, they had a victory over Brazil. Final score 122-87 in the quarterfinals. This was their third 20-plus victory game. But as we look ahead to Thursday's semifinal rematch against Serbia and beyond to a possible final against the winner of France, Germany, there's a reason to fear the competition is about to get much tougher for the USA. After winning the FIBA Basketball World Cup in the Philippines, Germany is in a strong position to claim its first Olympic medal in men's basketball as the only other undefeated team in Paris. The Americans routed Serbia in the opening game of pool play by virtue of a plus 26 margin. So this is interesting comments I'm reading here from this article on ESPN written by Kevin Pelton, ESPN senior writer. And although I do believe there is more competition in the Olympic men's basketball side, I think ultimately that the team is going to figure it out. The biggest problem, unfortunately, with this men's basketball team is not the players, but unfortunately, it's the coaching. I believe that outside of the head coach, there may be some outside influences regarding the lineups, because under no circumstance should a player such as Derek White get the opportunity to start over NBA champion Jason Tatum. I mean, we just watched Jason Tatum win the NBA championship, albeit he wasn't the best player on the team per se during those finals. But I don't see him getting started over. I don't see Derek White getting started over. I can't even say it. That's how preposterous it sounds. And when I really put my mind to it, someone deciding to put Derek White as a starter over Jason Tatum is just ridiculous. I mean, that idea needs to go right down the drain. But luckily he was able to start in the next game and they ended up winning anyways. But it's just one of those things. You do question some of the coaching decisions, some of the lineups they've put together. But I just think that at the end of the day, I mean, the USA we are the best at basketball for sure on the men's side and the women's side. I think we're going to get the gold medals on both of those sides. It'll be interesting to watch. I don't think Brazil will give us too many problems. Germany's good. Don't get me wrong. They're a gold medal team if the USA wasn't playing. But since we are, I think they'll go ahead and get that bronze spot. Maybe silver, but, I've said it before, guys. I'll say it again. USA men's basketball team 2024 in the Paris Olympics. This is the best men's basketball team we've seen in quite some time. So moving this thing on to our next topic, a little Major League Baseball news. Dodgers' Bruce Dog Graterol faces a long way back after suffering an unfortunate injury in the game against the Philadelphia Phillies. And this is something that just is very unfortunate for me personally as a Dodgers fan. We've been watching the Dodgers, and they've been suffering quite a bit of injuries, and not even injuries, but players are having to take time off for some non-sports related reasons. And we've just been going through it. I mean, this team on paper, when healthy, is easily one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. But when you're dealing with so many injuries with key players, it just makes it hard to really get a string of victories going. So Bruce Dog Graterol felt a pop in the back of his right leg as he fired the 8th pitch of his season Tuesday night against the Philadelphia Phillies. The tears flowed shortly after. Graterol, one of the Los Angeles Dodgers' most important relievers, had spent all season rehabbing from a shoulder injury, only to suffer a severe hamstring strain mere moments after making his way back. His season is likely over shortly after it began. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said it was a pretty good blowout after a 6-2 loss to Philadelphia. From what I understand, it's a grade 3 hamstring strain and a long way back. I feel terrible for him. And yeah, like I said before, we hate to see this, man. This is something that we didn't need at this time in the Dodgers dugout. We've already been battling with so many injuries, missing key players, missing games, losing games, and this was somebody who I was really looking forward to contributing in that Dodgers reliever rotation. I mean, we're already stretched thin as it is, and this is an area where we need the most help. If anything, we need the most help in our reliever areas. I mean, the Dodgers, we're good on the field. We have a good starting pitching rotation. We've been making some trades and some signings that were really impressive, but when it comes down to that reliever rotation, I mean, when you're missing guys already and then you suffer another injury, I mean, this is a guy who we expected to be able to show up and can easily pitch for 3, maybe 4 innings. Throws an incredible sinker, very hard sinker. A lot of guys have a tough time getting some real productivity hitting off of this man, but when he's out, it's very unfortunate, and we want to definitely wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully he gets better soon. Let me ask a favor real quick. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Good Game Podcast. We're going to have episodes coming at you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yes. And make sure you share the video with a friend. Also, if you're listening to us on Spotify, follow us on Spotify at The Good Game Podcast. A lot of good episodes coming to you guys. Yes, that's right. 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified every time we drop a new episode. And you could be part of The Good Game Podcast. Don't miss any of this good game. It's a lot of good games we're going to be discussing. A lot of sports and entertainment related topics we're going to get into today. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into our next topic. Have we seen U.S. women's best basketball at Paris Games? 3 games down and 3 games remain for the U.S. women's basketball team in its quest for an 8th consecutive Olympic gold medal and 10th overall. As expected, Team USA went undefeated after completing group play on Sunday at the Paris Games. The U.S. women extend their Olympics win streak to 58 games with victories against Japan, 102-76, Belgium, 87-74, and Germany, 87-68. But the real basketball lies ahead as the knockout round starts this Wednesday when Team USA will face Nigeria in the quarterfinal of the day. Nigeria has been on a Cinderella story for these Olympic Games. They became the first African basketball team, women's or men's, to advance to the quarterfinal of the Olympics. Team USA is plenty familiar with Nigeria. The squads met in the opener of the Tokyo Games in 2021, with the Americans winning by 9 points in what was just 2 games decided by single digits in Team USA's Olympic win streak. They also faced off in February's Olympics qualifying tournament, during which the U.S. women's won comfortably 100-46. Yes, that's right, folks. So should Team USA advance to the semifinals, it would play the winner of Serbia-Australia. On the other side of the bracket, Belgium will square off with Spain, the only other undefeated country remaining. The victor of the Belgium-Spain meeting will face the Germany-France winner. The latter matchup will feature a slew of familiar WNBA faces. It'll be interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to see these matchups as these teams compete in the semifinals and the finals. And once you get to these later rounds and these medal rounds, teams start to really ramp it up and execute some of their higher level game plans. And it'll be interesting to watch. It'll be definitely entertaining. I will still pick the women's USA team to win gold. I think they'll have a very tough road ahead of them, but ultimately they'll be able to figure out how to get the victory due to the skill level of players they have on the team. Definitely want to see more production from certain players as far as taking more shots outside of just Asia Wilson, taking more shots, being more productive, and sharing the ball and such and so forth. So interesting to see that. And I think it'll be a fun competition. So far, this Olympics has been very entertaining and a lot of fun things to watch. A lot of interesting sports that I traditionally haven't really watched before, but it's been interesting to see all these athletes compete at such a high level. It seems like there's a new world record on almost every competition. So it's been fun to watch. Definitely want to applaud and thank these athletes for participating. With that being said, this is the conclusion of episode 5 of the Good Game Podcast. It's been a wonderful episode. Make sure if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us on Spotify at the Good Game Podcast. We're going to have new episodes coming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make sure you tune in, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. And we will see y'all next time. Peace.